going to start from the end. Okay? What? Okay. Sif Yud Zayin. Tov Kuf Nun Aleph. Sif Yud Zayin. Now, this is a halacha that everybody knows, and we're going to find out if it actually is a halacha. Tov Lizor Milomer Shehechiyanu Bebein HaMetzorim. How do you translate that into English?
Preferably don't.
Right. So is that called halacha? Al pri or al on a fruit or on a new garment. Aval al pidyon haben oimer v'lo yachmitz hamitzvah. And you shouldn't push the mitzvah off. Now, for some reason, he doesn't consider the option of doing the mitzvah without making a shehechiyanu. Right? You could do, the option is also available. He doesn't consider that. V'chein pri shlo yimotze achat yeshabav muter levarach u'la'oichloi ben hametzorim.
Why would you think not to make the bracha?
Wouldn't that be like a diss to the mitzvah if you did a mitzvah without taking shehechiyanu? Disrespect to the mitzvah.
Well,
Well said it's not an option. This part
The bracha is
thinking.
a symptom of the fact you're doing something to bring simcha. The bracha isn't what gives you the simcha.
all the questions are valid questions. I don't think any of them are be'etzem right. So I'm going to try to... Okay. Why should one not make a shehechiyanu at this time of year?
One should not make a circumstance where he says a shehechiyanu.
That's not the reason why.
Because you should say that I'm happy I got to the chol.
Right, because you're not supposed to say that you're happy that you came to this time of year. Okay? You know, it's not symptomatic of a simcha. It's the shehechiyanu that's a problem. And the big nafkamina is, I'll just share with you the big nafkamina. The big nafkamina is, if you want to buy something that you don't make a shehechiyanu, you make a teva meitev on it. There's no problem. Right?
What about furniture?
What about furniture?
Like a bed or something like that?
Let me ask you a question. What bracha do you make when you buy that?
No bracha.
So that you can buy it. Okay?
Is this even according to that result?
No, the result is a whole different story. Okay, I'll just share with you from my brachas dilemmas that I have. I don't know if I ever mentioned this here in this shir, but this is from my, I have certain things that bother me that have no answer. And there are people, I didn't say there are people who answer the question, but in my opinion it has no answer. I decide I'm going to be a good husband, so I buy for my wife a dishwasher. Okay? Let's assume. Okay? Who washes the dishes in my house? My wife. Do I benefit from my wife having a dishwasher? I don't have such a grouchy wife, maybe, right? Right? No, I don't benefit from the dishwasher. Now, I'm going to ask you another question. Who does the dishwasher belong to?
You. The husband.
Okay, so I can't make a shehechiyanu because it doesn't do anything for me. She can't make a shehechiyanu because it isn't hers.
He's stuck a gufa. So they said our leg is hurting us, so you can say we feel better about it. No?
I'm not sure what did you say. And therefore, who should make the shehechiyanu?
Therefore, either of you can make it. Either of you can make it.
Oh, that's bad. Either of you, because you're happy that she got it, so you just took a goof, you're happy. And she and you are the same. So
Maybe she had Tova Meitiv in the first place, because you're both happy.
Okay, now I don't have an answer to this question.
Can I mock me to something else? Can I mock me to the wife without having me by those?
Perhaps you could do that. But there's no... Who says there's an inyan in creating a situation where you make a shehechiyanu? What? Yeah. Well, if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen, right? Now, the minig ha'olam is that the lady makes a Shehechiyanu
Dishwasher.
on a dishwasher. Now, I would like to say what the Svarim who say that the lady's the one who does, just because she's the one who benefits from it. In other words, you bought a new car, and you lend it to me. So I said, wouldn't that have to give it back to you? He says, do I make a Shehechiyanu on it? Now, this question is much more complicated than you think. There's a thing called a lease. I lease a car straight from the factory. What did I say? I didn't say that you bought a car and you got a mimun, what's a mimun from Bankai? What's that called? An auto loan. A lease. You know what a lease is? A lease is a rental.
It's a long-term rental.
Yeah.
So Schirus is a balance, no?
No, Schirus is not bailus. When I have a few questions.
I've seen it's written that.
Yeah, but it depends about what. I've had this. I rented a car and it was brand new. I've had that. I should make a Shehechiyanu because I'm a bailim.
You don't really own it.
No, but it's
And 1 second. And if I rent it for a month,
You still don't own it.
and if I rent it for a year,
Still don't own it.
if I rent it for 3 years,
You still don't own it.
so then you don't make a Shehechiyanu on a lease.
leasing. It's no one else. Renting is
Exact same thing.
no.
It's exactly the same thing.
Which is a different
A
word.
renting eventually is going to go back to the company, and they really have that. It's like kind of almost like the Rosh Hashiva could decide what bed you want, so therefore it's not really my
No,
bed is on this bed.
no.
The company could the contractory or whatever it is, but on the company's car they can move it around. If I lease it for a year, I don't know how it really works in paperwork, but
It works
it's mine.
exactly the same thing as a
But
rent.
you sign on it and it's yours for
It's
3
mine
years.
for a year. The company can't decide we want to give it to Uncle Pfeffer or whatever, someone else.
And they can't do it, I don't think, on a rental either.
But it's yours for the year to use what they're giving you. They belong to it because you're paying them. They're the ones who are buying it. You are leasing from them. You never own it. You never own it. I'm leasing through 3 years right now.
Yeah.
Okay?
You don't own the car.
I don't own the car. I gotta pay all the expenses. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what I'm saying. So
So I have responsibilities, but I don't own it. After 3 years, I gotta I give it back to them. That's it.
A lot of leases after 3 years you have the first
Oh,
option to keep
oh,
it.
that's a different story. Then
What's
you're
that?
purchasing it. Then
Then you buying it then.
yeah.
Then you're buying it then. All right. Anyways, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna show you that this question is. When is it that it's called? And this is. I'll just tell you the opposite of this question, which I've had people discuss with me. This question, the exact opposite. This way and that way. You buy an apartment. Okay. Could you make a Shehechiyanu on your apartment or a type of native, or it belongs to the bank?
Belongs to the bank.
Officially, if you have a mortgage on it, it belongs to the bank.
No, 100% wrong. It belongs to you, and they have a lien on it.
Oh, if you don't pay, they can take it away.
It's yours.
from you, but-
It's yours.
Because you can sell it. He'll sell it.
Oh, and at least you can sell.
Right. But there are people who want to say that maybe you shouldn't be able to make a Shehechiyanu on a house because the bank owns all of it, and you're buying it back from the bank on increments, monthly increments.
In Yerushalayim, you don't own it anyway, right?
Well, do you live in Yerushalayim? Shel Bizman Abayis?
I'm talking about now.
What about Yerushalayim now?
Yerushalayim, there's a lot of sections in Yerushalayim that you don't own it. You have like a long-term
You own the building.
lease
You don't
on
own
it.
the farm.
That's that's a minhal. That's a whole different
Yeah,
thing.
that's-
You own it. You own it. You own it. That's a 50 year lease, automatically renewed, and it's going to be automatically renewed after that. That's yours. That's a. I can't hear a word you're saying. You have to speak up. No, I think you're supposed to make a Shehechiyanu when you bought it.
You get the keys.
Yeah. All right.
Coming back to what Rav said about the dishwasher, Shehechiyanu, I'm not sure what is the kind of level of item that a person buys.
It has to bring you simcha.
So if my wife's planning to buy a new mixer, she would make a Shehechiyanu of that.
Can I ask you a question? Does your wife own the mixer?
Same as the dishwasher, no? I mean,
Right. I don't think that she owns the mixer or the dishwasher.
But he's saying
she
the
would
mixer
use
be
it.
enough
She would
silver.
use it. Rav said, use it. The one that uses it.
So I said there are those who say the one that uses it. Yes. Then she would make a Shehechiyanu. 100%.
So that would be an item that one should not buy in the 9 days, for that reason.
This question is, I think, how big an item that does it need to be?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. How big an item?
Okay. It's not a question of size. I'll just tell you
Value.
a machlokes I had with Marshiva in America, and I've seen this machlokes discussed since then many times. A person buys new tzitzis. Marshiva in America said it's like an undershirt, like, you know, why would you make a Shehechiyanu on new tzitzis? Yeah.
Gives you joy.
Right? And that to me is more important than my shirt. Right? Right? No, it's now this is a subjective question. This is not an objective question. Now, I don't make a Shehechiyanu when I buy a new suit. Okay?
Does it right?
When I buy a new suit?
How to get service simcha?
No. No, it's
No.
birth.
No, I would
Maybe
bet it does.
if it's extremely expensive.
I would bet it does.
I'll tell you, if I buy a new frock, then I make a Shehechiyanu. Right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, why? Because it costs way more money. You can't buy it on sale. It's like a specialty. It's a yeah. Right. Okay. So, like, you know, if I buy my new tux, you know, then right, then I make a Shehechiyanu with my cummerbund. You know, the whole.
I bought a tux when I was for music. It was a work clothes. It wasn't.
That's fine. Right. All right. And now, we're not learning Hilchas Shehechiyanu, but these questions are important to understand what we're talking about. So, the halacha is for things that you make a Shehechiyanu on them, you should avoid having them. Now, how much do you have to avoid having them? That's not so clear to me, because let's use the example of I didn't have watermelon yet this year, and now I have watermelon. I don't know if I'm going to be being offered watermelon again after the 9 days, and the watermelon that you're going to have now in 10 days from now is not going to be. It's not going to be. Okay, so the halacha is clearly that I can make a Shehechiyanu, right? So it's not that it's usher. Just we prefer not to because it has this aspect to it that it's like you're making a Shehechiyanu on the day. Now, just on the question that Peretz brought up, I would just like to share with you. There is a Pidyon Haben that's going to be happening on the Sunday of Tisha B'Av. And there's a question if the Pidyon Haben should be pushed off because we don't want to say Shehechiyanu on Tisha B'Av itself. Special, even though the 9 days we wouldn't push it off, as it says over here, but to push it off on Tisha B'Av, anyways you can have the Suda at night, right, when it should be done, so that there's a question about it. Okay. Now, here the halacha is a person should try to avoid it, but if it doesn't work out, then a person should do it. Okay? If you're not going to be able to eat it afterwards, then you're allowed to do it. And again, if it's for a mitzvah, we don't push off doing a mitzvah because of the Shehechiyanu, and we don't do the mitzvah without the Shehechiyanu, because there's no halacha that is disposable because of this halacha. Okay. Says Mishnah Berurah, Mikol Mokom Yomim Elu Kibun Shazmana Hu Zman Pronius. It's a bad time of year. En Kedai Lomer Shehechiyanu Lezman Hazeh. It's not appropriate. This whole thing is not so. So on Shabbos, if you want to have your watermelon on Shabbos, then you're for sure good to go.
Do we make Shehechiyanu on watermelon?
I do. Yeah. Once a year.
Since last year.
Huh?
We haven't had it since last year.
Is it a yearly thing or is
No.
it a seasonal thing?
No, it's a seasonal thing, but it has to be that you can tell that it's from the new season. In other words, watermelon that you get all year round, like today we're already up to America. There's no such thing. What?
You could.
You can get them, but they're imported and they're they're
Not as tasty.
yeah, it's not
Israeli ones are only in the summer.
right. And the South African ones are only in the winter, right?
I've never seen them.
No, that's exactly the point. Is that correct?
I've never seen non-Israeli ones.
I mean, like grapes come from
I've only seen watermelons in the summer.
But the grapes, that's what they have. They have them in, right? It's exactly a half a year off.
That's why.
Right.
Boker Tov.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, but you can, if you know, in theory, I just like to make this clear. Major mistake. When are you supposed to make a bracha on a new fruit? When you see it on the tree. Because you're making a Shehechiyanu on the season. You're not making it on the fruit itself. We make a bracha when we eat it. And that's like an evolvement. But ba'etzem, it's on the season. And
But the chiyanu is because you get enjoyment from. You don't get enjoyment from seeing the fruit on the tree.
yeah, but it's here.
There are
I
seasons.
understand, but I've got it to do with simple.
It is because you have that season is here.
So every fruit that, so you can say 10 shechianas in all the new fruits, all the different trees.
100%.
So,
100%.
so next Rosh Hashanah I should say Kiddush in my garden so I can see the tree. Need to make a Shehechiyanu.
You know what? Why do you have to ask questions on me? I'll read what it says and then you'll see. And that's the way it is. It's not...
That's the better way to do it. Years ago.
what?
It wasn't 20 years ago, if you look at shechianu.
When we learned Shehechiyanu, we learned Hilchos Brachos.
20 years ago.
It was, I think, for the first things that we learned. It was before Tefillah, I think we learned Shehechiyanu.
I do remember that we learned Shehechiyanu, but I don't remember
What?
anything more than
Yud Ches. Here. Nisim. Chaf Aleph. Chaf Gimel. Here. Here it is. B'shas hakinyan yesh lo levorach, af al pi she'adayin lo nishtamish bahem. She'ein ha'bracha al simchas halev shehu samech b'kinyasam, u'kashiyul b'shem yevorach mal b'sharumim. That's the Shittas HaMacham. Yeah, okay, so we're going to get to the fruit in a second. It's in two different simanim. Just remember if it's Shehechiyanu here. Haraya pri chodosh shemischadesh mishana l'shana mevorach Shehechiyanu. Okay. Bein pri eitz, bein pri adama, kigon dolas ukiyotzi bozeh. I don't think I ever heard anybody make a Shehechiyanu on the dolas, but it is a seasonal food.
same family as the watermelon.
Okay.
It's just not as
Ule'inyan pri adama shekarin potatoes, I Mishnah Berurah, because achon de bracha zu ein tzarich shir, the simchas halev sheroya shenigmar apri.
So it has to be only when it's ripe on the tree.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
your tree, someone else's tree,
Doesn't make a
a
difference.
tree.
Okay. Now here it says, "Va'afilu ro b'yad chavero, oyala ilon, v'noagu shelo levarach ad shas achila." Umisha birch b'shas riyah lo hifsid. Ve'ein levorach ad shenigmar tashlum gidul hapri. Okay? Yeah.
So what is the Shehechiyanu? The changing of the season, the fact that fruits are available in the
Yes,
shuk.
yes, that the fruit are available, period.
You
To you.
can look at this
You
fruit,
could have it, right.
even though it's my friend's tree.
Right. But it's on a simcha, and it doesn't have to be when you're eating it, but we
Yeah.
bear down, you know what I mean?
So let me, confession. I forgot to pick the rimon from the tree, but I have it on the tree. So can I use that for my Shehechiyanu for Kiddush Rosh Hashanah?
And when are you going to be eating it? You
Well,
could
it's not- it doesn't matter
theoretically,
if I'm gonna eat it.
theoretically, you could do that. Now, I don't know where you seeing it.
It's from my garden.
I don't know if you can't see it. That's the whole question. If it's not where you are right now,
No, that's what I'm saying. I can go out there and make Kiddush.
if you'd go out there and make kiddush, then that would probably be okay. But that's not lefi the minig. The minig is that we make the bracha when we're eating it.
Okay.
Are you saying
But
you stop-
theoretically, you can do that. Okay. All right.
In case I forget to buy one.
Yeah. And you still have one that
Yeah, you still
They're
didn't
there.
eat yet, and you still
They're
didn't.
there.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Since you're not going to make a Shehechiyanu, lo yochal apri v'lo yilbash habeged. Kosel v'achroidim the isha muberes muteres lechol pli below Shehechiyanu deshema tisave v'yigram nezek lavlad. V'chein choyle gam ke muter shaperes posem latavo lechol v'dvarim toivim u'mokom choyle lo kablidan alayu. And you're allowed to have it. Okay.
Were you allowed to make a Shehechiyanu, or you just...
For the choyle, you're allowed to make the Shehechiyanu. Okay. And for
You
the
never intended for sick people to not eat these things.
Right.
did you?
okay, the next halacha. I'm just doing these two halachas because these are clear 3-week halachas. Tzarich lizar mishavasar b'tamuz ad Tisha B'av sholelech yechidim me'arba shoyos ad tesha shoyos. A person shouldn't go out in these hours. Mishum shebahem haketiv u'meri sholet. There are these mazikim
What time from? From when to when?
from 4 to 9.
4 to 9 in the evening?
Yes.
Shows money.
Yeah. And the next part, which is more important, v'lo yaku al talmidim b'yom ha'mohem. Okay. Okay.
So what do you mean? So I go for a walk. Should I go for a walk there?
That depends where you're chidi, where you're going. You know,
Not in the middle of the
Lachish is.
No,
It's pretty unusual.
Not Lachish, but
Yeah.
a walk like
Yeah.
out of town.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
out of town.
Arbor Shabbos is 4 in the afternoon. It's not
It'll be like
4
10.
hours into the morning, like 10 o'clock.
I think so.
I think it's 4 in the afternoon.
I think so.
Or it's not at night.
V'chein yizov b'meshalelech ben chamol etzel. Okay, these halachas, they're not so practiced. V'lo yakal tavinim meforish b'medrash da'afilu b'ritzua yesh li zohar. Not talking about just beating the living daylights out of him, even lightly. It shouldn't be done. V'kavanas arizal kasav sheyisabu b'yam mehem al chatzi yom v'yivke k'mo chatzi shom. And a person should cry for a half an hour. Now,
The whole 3 weeks.
Even on Tisha B'av, literally.
Yeah,
What?
The whole 3 weeks.
I would just like to share with you a fascinating story. This story happened to me. Let me just get something off.
If I could do that on Tisha B'av,
Yeah. You know what? Let me know. This question I get asked from the questions that I get asked in the 3 weeks all the time. I say all the time is every year, numerous times, is about people getting music lessons. Are you allowed to do this in the 3 weeks? So I would like to share with you here.
it's the difference if it's a kid or an adult.
Okay, so you could say the shir.
One day the adult enjoys it, the kid doesn't.
Okay. Wrong sin. Okay. Sifkat and Yud or Yud Aleph. Okay. I'm going to here. Venirali, says the Magen Avram, the Osir Lasos Rikudim U'Mechoilois Meyud Zayin Tammuz Ve'elech. Okay, and on this halacha, the Pri Megadim says, where is this? Sifkat and Yud. Rekudim U'Chulis B'Shivasa B'Tammuz Osir Af B'Lo Erisim V'Ayin B'Al Yerabah V'Yisrael Sheparnasa B'Kli Zemer Eitzel Einu Yehudim B'Beis Mishtois. The guy plays the piano in the bar. Yira Kedei Parnasasa Shari Vadai V'Av Davar Ovod Yeshlamar Deshari L'Harviach K'Hai Gavna Im Ein Shchiach Klal V'Ayin Hilchos Chol HaMoed. Okay. Now this is the source that you're not supposed to play musical instruments. Now I'd like to share with you a story that happened to me close to 20 years ago. A guy came over to me. This fellow lives in Yerushalayim, was brought up in Yerushalayim. His father was a Oberländer Yid. I don't know if you know what that means. Yeah, but from the high part, Austria-Hungary, from the Austria part of Hungary. Not the Unterländers, the Oberländers, yeah. Yeah, not Yekish exactly, but and I knew his father, and he asks me, my daughter is taking music lessons, can she continue in 3 weeks? So I said, give me till tomorrow. If you ask me this question today, I'd probably say the same thing, give me till tomorrow, because before I answer such a question, I like to adapt my answer to the person who's asking, so I look through the sources to see how I should approach this issue. The next day, I meet him, and I ask him, what was the 3 weeks like in your house growing up? So he said, the first thing, my father had a store on Rehov Ben Yehuda, and in the 3 weeks, he closed the store an hour earlier every day. And he went to shul and he sat Tehillim for an hour. From Rosh Chodesh, it was closed for the afternoon, and he was in the Beis Medrash saying Tehillim or whatever he was doing, and he was already atzbani. You couldn't even speak to him. He was not in a good mood. And he goes on and he's telling me this the build up until Tisha B'Av. And then I asked him, and you want your daughter to take music lessons? So he looks at me and he says, but I don't live like that. So I said, but you want your daughter to know that her grandfather did, right? So this is how you do it. Okay? And then I discussed with him the halachic subject. And this is something which is very important, and I mentioned this on Shabbos. It's a question of what are you supposed to be doing in the 3 weeks and the 9 days, not what can you find the heter to do, right? Because you could probably find the heter to do everything, right? But then you're just not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Okay, that's the... this is a question I'm asked all the time, and...
But you have, nowadays, music is just 24/7, almost. It's not special like it used to be at that time.
That's true.
And they have the thing, so they have the vocal music now, even on the film stations, which I don't know how that improves it. But
I think it's just as usher. It doesn't make any difference from my point of view. from my point of view, a guy who sounds like a guitar and a organite that sounds like an organ is the same thing.
Can I quote that?
What about singing without
Yes.
the fake things?
What?
What about singing without the fake things?
Now, singing, not the fake things. Could you do me a favor? Over there, right next to the other room, there's a Shnei Chemed, Chelek Vov.
Just pure voice.
That's what I'm going
Yeah,
to
like
read.
listen to Chazonis or something.
Okay. I'll just tell you, if you listen to Chazonis, there's always background, some kind of a...
Sometimes.
Do you see it? On the lower shelf, Chelek Vov.
That's depressing.
It is depressing, yeah.
For some people it's torture.
It is.
There happens to be, this Motzei Shabbos in Yerushalayim, there's a shul that's making a Malava Malka, a fundraiser Malava Malka, and there's a special reason why they had to make it this Shabbos. I'm not going to get involved in that. And they called me and asked me, Pasa Soda, why is it not finding the Pasa Soda here? And they asked me if, oh, here's Pasa Soda, here's Pasa Soda, Broches, Besa Kreses, Pasa Soda, Velas. And that's the follow. I saw it this week. Read the show. Shnei Chemed. Besa Kreses, Broches. Here we go. Okay. Shnei Chemed, Pa'as HaSodeh, Siman Aleph, Sifkot and Yud. L'shoirer u'lanagein bapeh. Just shirois v'sishbochos. Shenogin lezamer besudas reyus, she'enoi sudas mitzvah. Now, kigoin, what is called a not sudas mitzvah? Suda sha'osim balayla lifnei yom hamila. Vachnach. That's called a sudas reyus. That's not called a sudas mitzvah. O balayla sha'achar hamila shemezamnim es akroivim v'oivim v'yinira be'enai deshaper dami rak al nigan klishir ani moicher kol zman b'yom elo kishol many mi yud zayin ba'az. Okay. V'avklei votzim l'shar l'nagan eze shirim l'noigim b'neim l'chol l'chalo v'ato re'isi b'sefer Mas HaChayim l'mor chabaf she'oso askama v'takona b'koch toraseinu ha'kedoshim she'miyom sheva'oso b'tamuz ad achar tish tes ba'ov lo yechol shum yisrael l'tayel l'ginas v'pardesim v'al svas hayom anor v'lo l'nagim mishun nigin zulas b'shas bris mila b'vad b'shabbos shechal tzomsecha chayim nahachriz askama beis hakneses. Okay. There's a whole thing over here, but the bottom line is that he doesn't have an isser to do it b'peh. For people to sing without an instrument, just stam kacha, it's hard to say that it's osir. Now those who are machmer that, and this idea is a very important idea. You know, I get asked all the time about going on trips in the 3 weeks. So everybody knows in the 9 days we don't do that. What about the 3 weeks? It's hard to find an isser. Right, but so this is where the difference is. You want to know if what you're supposed to be doing, or you want to know what's permissible to be done. So many times, you know, things happen, and that's when it works itself out. So there's a lo sofa olam, but this is not a happy time. This is not a time that you're supposed to be indulging. What happens if that's the only time you can go, or whatever the situation may be? So then it becomes a halachic question. But at the end of the day, and this is an important nakuda, you're going to come to Bezdin Shalmayel after 120 years, and they're going to say, how were you Makayim the feeling of the 3 weeks? You have to be able to say something, right? And everybody has an obligation to find something to say. So, there are people who ask me all the time, buying items. There are those, the Makor Chaim is very against buying items. In the Shulchan Aruch it only says you're not allowed to buy things that bring simcha. But other things you're allowed to buy. There are Achronim, the Chavos Yor and others that are against buying things, I'm not talking about loaf of bread and, a banana. Talking about buying things that have value to you and bring you some level of simcha, since this is not a time that a person is supposed to be doing things that makes him happy. Now, if the question is what happens if you have a situation that's a different question. But the bottom line is that this is a time which a person is supposed to be more somber. And you have to make sure that you work that into your 3 weeks, that you have that. Okay, that's the kuda that I wanted to discuss. All right.
Can we say that we're headed towards the direction of crying for a half hour a day? That should be like our direction.
I'll tell you something. If somebody here in this room told me that they cried for a half hour a day, I would say, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Right? Now, when I came to Eretz Yisrael, I used to go to Batei Nathan on Tisha B'Av. Yeah, Nathan's Heisel. Okay, and that's how I'll go on Tisha B'Av, and you see people crying their eyeballs out a whole night. Whatever, it's a place in Yerushalayim. And it wasn't only on Tisha B'Av. There are people who, and I would just like to say over from Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld. It says in Tikkun Leah, Tikkun Chatzos, comes Chatzos, you're supposed to cry for a half an hour, and then you're supposed to say the Tikkun. So someone asked Rabbi Yosef Chaim, how do you turn the berez on? How do you do that? So he was standing in Batei Machsa, where he lived, and he looked at the Kosel, and he burst out in tears. And he cried for about 2 minutes until he calmed down. And he said, a person can think about the Churban and not cry. We just have other things that we preoccupy our brains with, so we don't cry. But a person should be, whenever he thinks about the Churban, be able to cry. And this is an important nakuda. I'll just say over, a friend of mine was at a Sheva Brachas in the Iratika, and this person had this massive window which overlooked, the Kosel. There were probably 50 of these apartments over there, and Reb Simcha Wasserman was there. He got up to speak. He looked out the window, and he broke out crying. And there was somebody there that said, what a pity. The people who live here could never do that. Right? Because the fact that you see it every day, it becomes cheap to you, and you don't relate to it. It has to be that you're not there, that it's not your break front window, the Kosel, right?
We go and we say, well, what a nice view of the Kosel.
That's why they made it.
It's not a...
Okay, I mean, I didn't know that people go to the Kosel for the view, right?
It's very disconnected.
Yeah, but we are trying to be connected. That's exactly the point. The point over here is that the 3 weeks, the 9 days, at Tisha B'Av are to get us to be connected, to understand what it is. I'll just say over one more story. I was with my Rosh Yeshiva during the Gulf War at the Kosel at 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, I don't know if any of you people were here, the Gulf War, okay, and there was like nobody out. You know, that was basically. We went to the Kosel, and he doesn't go close to the Kosel at all. And my friend, he went inside, inside the room on the left. Yeshiva stays back to where he is, and when he comes out, he's ready to go, and Yeshiva says, "Can't leave." So my friend asked him, "Why can't we leave?" He said, "There's nobody here. You leave the Kosel alone." No, this is not the place that you have a view of the Kosel. This is for real. There's not going to be somebody down by the Kosel. So my friend told him, there are people inside. You're standing over here. You don't know what really is going on. There are people inside. And my friend told him, in fact, inside is a very close friend of yours. Reb Shagafai, what's his name? Freifeld was there. And he said, he actually is here right now. So Yeshiva said, he's here now. I'm going to wait for him to come out. And a second later he says, Chas v'sholom, we don't go to the Kosel to meet people. And he left. Okay? Now that's called a different relationship. I'll just tell you one other story about Mar Yeshiva, which is this is how I was raised. I was with Mar Yeshiva on Har Zeisim, and he started to turn towards the Mokom HaMikdash, and he turned back, and 30 seconds later he turned toward the Mokom HaMikdash and he ripped his clothes and rice kriya. So I asked him what happened. He said, I was here, and I'm already here, not to look at the Mokom HaMikdash and rice kriya, and then I looked at my jacket, it was brand new. And I'm not mechuyev to ruin my jacket, I just don't have to look. And then I realized this is a place where Eine Amcha Me'achalois, for thousands of years, because of my jacket, I'm not going to look. And he turned around and he ripped. That's this is a musig of what does it mean to go to the Kosel. So a person who goes, you have to understand that what it's supposed to entail and what the 3 weeks and the 9 days are supposed to do for us. Okay, let's stop over here.